pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
We have a full board tonight, so don't necessarily need to do a roll call vote. People still can watch through YouTube and email Karen if they have questions. They're not in attendance. That's what.
Just in case Karen looks over, I'm sure I have a finger sticky. Tell me when you're ready.
Go.
Oh, we're not doing the payroll yet? Air Gas USA, you guys got
We're
that?
doing invoices for us, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Air Gas USA, $33.75. ASAP Landscaping is $3,750. AT&T Mobility is $905.32. Block 5 is $127.10. Block 3 Medical is $239.96. Center for Occupational Health is $130.50. Citizens Bank's $423.94. Crystal Rock is $20.86. Dragon Mosquitoes $4,400. Eversource is $251.59. Exeter Hospital is $426.25. Gulls LLC is $32.49. Health Trust Inc. is $7.69. Leaf is $124. Medical Business Services is $483.53. Mitchell's Municipal Group is $1,096. NHTCA is $40. Coal Corporation is $112.32. Ray Allen Manufacturing is $221.98. George Sansucci is $19.95. Searchy is $199.69. Valak is $296.45. Waste Management is $4,869.79. WB Mason is $105.97.
For a total of $18,319.13.
Also an ACH payment to Sweden School for $190.
That's the school.
How much is that?
190,000.
Right.
Oh. No reduction, even though they're not in school.
No?
Nothing.
Actually, they said it's gonna cost more.
Yeah, because they've been doing free lunches and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think they laid off any paraprofessionals.
Not yet. What are they doing?
Don't know. Tell me when you're ready.
Go.
George Abel, $1,666.04. No, that's bad. 666. Ellen Archeri is $998.78. Andrea Bickham is $606.09. Joseph Bird is $922.55. Caden Blazik Ahern is $517.06. Gloria Bundia Becerra is $502.25. Adonai Chardonnay is $403.07. Karen Clement is $1,065.17. Jeffrey Collins is $645.02. Katie Coppola is $101.58. Alyssa Sanuski is $208.67. Michael Dam is $718. Kiki Donis Wall is $190.71. Robert Gagnon is $914.05. Kenneth Gauthier $779.37. Andrew Gray is $454.28. Mary Lyons Hall is $129.29. Kip Kaiser $777.92. Joyce Keekles $513.26. Kevin Nealon is $1,436.56. Stephanie Lazat Croto is $424.76. Heather Lindsay is $591.84. Francis McGinnis is $1,353.61. Rachel Mowbray is $124.67. Jeremy Potter is $260.87. Julissa Polanco is $1,124.15. Wayne Robinson is $921.73. Katrina Tennant is $427.10. Joshua Turner is 167.37, or 36, sorry. Olivia Wall is $16.62. Daniel Wicks is $1,008.19.41. Janice Weirs is $757.41. Jeremy Worcester is $1,204.95, and Daphne Wass is $686.80.
For a total of $23,431.
There's only 3 payroll checks I'll read them. Christine Belanger, $682.65. Richard Murphy, $111.87. Kristen Patch, $481.94, for a total of $1276.46, which gives a grand total of $24,707.46. There was 14 and a half hours of overtime at the PD, 1 hour of overtime at the fire department, and no overtime at the highway.
What's the thing to say?
Do you have that?
What's the thing to say?
It's coming.
No, Joyce's sheets.
Oh.
4 rec checks. Looks like all of them are refunds for events that were booked.
And I'll bring it up and sign it.
Joyce, you are good to go.
Okay, thank you. Weekly treasurer's report, previous balance $12,756.81. Deposits $189,543.48. The payroll is $24,707.46. Payroll taxes $6,546.21. Money to impact fees $614.06. The AP, including the Swayze ACH check, is $208,319.13. I'm transferring $60,000 from the money market account, leaving the account balance at $22,113.43. Interest earned year to date, $8.69. We have $1 million in CDs. Our unrestricted balance is $818,298.70. 17 cents for the total invested funds of $1,818,298.17. Interest year to date is $17,119.50.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take a motion on last week's minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Phyllis, aye,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Anything from Kip on building permits or just his notes?
I have 5 permits. Richard Heath, 42 Hague Road for a new roof. Floyd, 80 South Road, electrical for kitchen remodel. Josh Jennings, 287 South Road for electrical to add 100 amp service. Joseph Delisle, 31 Michael Bennett Road, add bath and kitchen of the garage. And Tom Cordy, 246 Pickpocket Road, an in-ground pool.
Yeah, I will.
Bob, can you reach? We'll just grab them after.
Okay.
So if you flip to page 3 of your handout, 313 Route 125 memo from Kip. 570 inspected the site. All drums were removed. He found 3 dismantled vehicles that were supposed to be removed by Preservation Auto Works were still on site. And there was also 19 other vehicles, including RV-style campers. He's asked the planning board for an opinion, and consensus is that there is no restrictions listed on the site plan. Although he does find zoning code backed by RSA that does warrant action specific to junkyards. He recommends that we serve notice of violation to the owner of the site, R&D Commercial LLC.
I'd recommend that we wait for the planning board
No,
to look at it.
The 2 letters that we sent before, was that telling them to move?
Yes,
The drums or the cars?
both.
Both.
Where does he have them down, he have them down below?
I think down out back,
Okay.
like on the Scrabble roadside, and then the parking lot's filled with cars.
Yeah, but it looks, I mean, it looks nice. I just think you're always after them.
Well, not all the cars are,
He's working on those cars or no?
not all the cars belong to Preservation Auto Works, I believe, correct?
That's part of the problem. So it's not just Preservation Auto Works, it's the actual owner of the property that we're directing.
It's the R&D
This is
Commercial
Where
LLC.
Toss and Sauce used to be.
What's
Oh,
that?
yeah,
This is
okay.
where Toss and Sauce used to be.
Yep.
You know, I know where it is. I look at it, all the Volkswagens all the time, because my grandson has a 73 Volkswagen bus, so I always look.
The front doesn't look bad, I don't know what the back looks like.
Yeah, I don't know what the back looks like either.
Never been back there, I don't know.
Well, I come from Scrabble Road and I don't see anything, to tell you the truth. But I'm not specifically looking for anything either.
Well, we've been over there and gotten, the Dunk's mushrooms. We've gotten mushrooms down there. It doesn't look like it's junked up back there at all, that far as I could tell, so. But
I
So
do
what
know
is-
there's
what
a
is-
couple
what is
properties
he-
I want him to look at.
What is Kip referring to as junk? I guess that's what I wanna know.
Unregistered vehicles and parts.
What's that?
Unregistered vehicles and parts.
you made a motion, right, for the plan?
I'm making a recommendation that, serving on the planning board, I have not heard this yet.
Okay.
I don't disagree with Kip, I just want another opinion.
Well, it looks like he's looking for direction from the planning board too.
Well, they gave him the direction that there was no restrictions on the
Right.
site plan.
Right.
So it's not a planning issue,
It's
it's
a
a
zoning.
zoning issue, which we would enforce zoning regulations.
Okay, well, I'll remove my recommendation.
And on the zoning, I mean, you guys are on the ZBA, so what are we violating on that?
No, this
These
has,
Junkyards. 200.0041 of zoning and RSA 236.12, keeping of a junkyard.
What's the fines that we would be assessing?
Well, the fines is if he's not collected, then the fines can be as much as $100 per day, once he gets to that point. So Kip's asking that you send a notice of violation now, and then you would send the notice of warning, notice of violation. He has already received the notice of warning, this is to get the notice of violation, and then if he doesn't comply within a set period of time, then you would start imposing fines if you chose.
I mean, if they wanna store cars there, then they need to get a junkyard permit through the state, which
Right.
other businesses in town do in order to comply with regulations.
That's the best looking junkyard I've ever seen.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't look like a junkyard, that's why I don't understand.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with Kip, because there are many unregistered vehicles parked.
Well, and I do feel there's probably a process, like I know Sampson's had to go through a process, there's a process that they have to do to get approval. We've had other, commercial properties around town that, you know, it didn't look that bad, but unfortunately it didn't meet the regulations, so. I will make a motion that we, send the letter as outlined.
Do I have a second? I'll second it.
It's gonna be in limbo otherwise. We're gonna have to do something eventually, so.
Do you wanna give them 30 days to comply?
Yeah.
Or,
What does he have to comply with, to be a junkyard?
Remove the junk.
He has to get a permit, he has to apply for the permit.
He would either need to apply and start the process to become a junkyard, or he would need to remove the junk, dispose of it.
Well, what do you consider in the junk, the cars out front?
There's unregistered vehicles and there's car parts.
you're only allowed to keep so many unregistered vehicles on your property.
And I
I'm
know
gonna
Well,
take
shouldn't
a
that have
ride
been
over there
addressed when it
tomorrow
was
and
at the
take,
planning board?
the planning board
they
said
said there's no
there's
violation.
no violation on the site plan, but then it's
Right,
a
but
zoning
what
code
I'm saying, when
violation.
they did the site plan, shouldn't they have addressed that then?
It is. He can't have the amount of cars that belong as a junkyard.
So I think we wanna encourage business, but we don't wanna encourage,
He could register
In
the cars
violation,
and then
we-
they're registered,
but,
right?
you know, if the guy's working on cars, the Volkswagen guy, he's gonna have cars there,
But they'll be registered.
maybe. Maybe somebody brought a car with her to get it fixed prior to being registered, I mean, I don't know, I'd like to go there and see how bad it looks before I,
Actually, I like the Volkswagens there, but that's me.
yeah.
My opinion
But
is,
there's a motion, so I.
my opinion is the law is the law, and just
I
because it
understand.
looks good, we can't.
Right. What I'm saying is I don't wanna discourage the business, but I wanna make sure he's in violation before you know, we'll give him time, if you send him a letter and tell him he's got 30 days to get into compliance or remove the junk, then I guess that's enough time. Talk myself into it.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't, my opinion would be, if he starts the process, that would be.
Then we know, then we would wait.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd be fine with waiting if he starts the process, but if nothing happens and we've
Then we
already
can-
sent them 2 notices,
Yeah.
okay, well, then something's gonna have to change, so.
So we have a motion and a
Well,
second.
Well, did we send him a notice for this
Two.
particular thing, or
Two.
was it
Two notices.
Twice.
Sent them 2 certified letters.
So you have a motion and a second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
No, I'm opposed.
4-1. Chief, you wanna come up to the next seat up? We're gonna talk about the PD renovations.
Okay.
Right there, please. We need armless chairs for you.
Just getting hung up on this.
All right, we received bid copies on 5/12 for the PD and Town Hall renovations. Lowest bid was from Paxor, but it is still 15% higher than the funds that are available to complete the project. Kip has contacted the lowest bidders, see if they're interested in working with the town to bring the project to an agreeable amount. If the Board of Selectmen wishes to proceed with Paxor, he has a scope and would bring their revision back to the.
Did the board
Board.
ever get to see all the bids, or just this
No,
one?
we have them right now. All the bids are attached to this packet.
They were posted on the drive last Tuesday.
Well, I only saw one on the, they're all on there?
It was just the 2 bids.
Target and Paxor.
I saw the one,
Target.
So the target is $58,760. And
On page 9.
page 9. and Paxers is 55,912.78. What did we have for a bid, our budget on this?
We had a warrant article of 30,000, and then the intent was to use the remaining of the impact fees to pay for the rest of the,
Do we have enough impact fees to cover the shortfall?
not to get to 55, no.
I'm sorry?
Not to get to 55.
Oh, okay.
What do we have?
We have about 12 in there.
So we have 42
Okay.
available.
Just trying to,
You think they might be amenable to revising the,
Let me
They
take a
said
do
look
we
at
have to
it.
go back through the bid process though?
they said that they would still be interested if you revised the scope and the bid was a smaller amount. Kip just didn't want to get too far into it if,
Sure.
in all fairness to both bidders, he wants to make sure they both have the same opportunities.
Yeah, because we could send a new new scope to both bidders.
Yeah,
I'd say rebid.
I think we'd like to do that. In my opinion.
Chief, did you see a copy of these?
Yeah, I just got them recently, so I haven't really looked through all of them, other than, the amounts.
And I would like to see, I noticed here, he's got like one, but he doesn't give the prices, he's just giving a lump on the bottom.
Over the target.
Well, packs were same thing, right? So he just says, you know, here we are in general conditions, $12,679.56. He's just putting in there what he has in there, but he's not giving the pricing. That's stuff that's critical, because when you're looking at labor and materials, you gotta price all that out. I mean, I can audit an estimate pretty quick, but I can't, I'm just looking at lump summing.
Do we wanna postpone this for a week and let the chief have a look at it and see what she can live with and without before we revise the scope?
Well, I think we can also ask for more itemized, I think Kip is gonna have to go back, cause we just don't have enough money. So he's
Oh,
gonna
yeah, we
probably
don't
take a
have
look at the
enough
scope.
I think, but had a brief conversation with Tip, and he had mentioned that he might be able to work with these bids if we don't blow up the wall in the present armory. So he already has it in his head where he might be able to do some revisions to cut the costs down. I don't know how much it would cost to not blow up that wall. We can live with it. I mean, that
I
just
mean,
means we've got.
Heck, I'll come down with a sledgehammer and help you out.
Some of the things Kip was looking at was, you know, different quality doors, interior doors. He was looking at reducing some of the areas with the fire rating, reducing the amount of drywall in some of those areas, eliminating the removal of that concrete wall between the armory and the present equipment room. But before he got too far, he just wanted to make sure you guys were on board with moving forward with the lower bidder and sort of diving in and seeing.
I think he really needs to engage both of them, because they're both gonna have to, you're gonna have to give them both a different scope, because the scope that we gave them, they gave us a bid for, and they're very close. I think ideally what you would do is you would say, all right, we're gonna modify our scope, give me the price for a scope, and then you let the two bidders bid again,
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you can.
because then they're competitive, and you can't really share the numbers once we get the new scope until we have them both together. But they are very close, I mean, you're looking at,
3,000.
yeah, I mean, it's $2,800 difference between the two. So,
So it looks like the idea is to table this, let Kip work some magic between what he thinks can be cut, what the chief thinks can be cut. Because obviously, we don't want to do a project that we're just throwing money at the wall if the chief doesn't think it's gonna satisfy the
Right.
issue.
Well, I think we should go along in the original plan. So I would make a motion that we table it, let's Kip do his work and get back to us.
Second,
second?
any discussion?
How can we go with the original plan? We have enough money.
Well, no, not the original, send out the new scope.
Okay. So you're in favor of him putting a new scope out there and to both bidders and. giving
That's
them-
correct.
All right. That wasn't clear, so, okay. I'm with that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. Anything else, chief?
I do have one more thing for public, and as a request to have our cruisers cleaned for COVID. We have an estimate here for $780, and that would include as exterior and interior, which we will treat all non-porous surfaces with a sanitizing solution. Our solution contains 2,100 ppm of active germicide, making it highly effective against a wide variety of pathogenic microorganisms. The solution is effective on, but not limited to, the following: tuberculosis and human coronavirus. So it's a multitude of other viruses, but coronavirus is included.
They tell you what chemical they're putting on there?
I think the sheet specifies it.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet.
Simonized complete interior detailing, but that's not, this is in addition.
That's not what you're looking for, is that what you're, there's two different
They're gonna detail them as well as disinfect.
prices, so there's 1183 and 780, which
It's
one?
780.
Where does the 1183 come from? On the second page? The page before the 780?
Yeah, they're giving us a 34% discount.
I don't
Oh,
have
okay.
780.
So they're
I
giving
only have
us- And
780.
how often are they gonna do that?
Um,
Or how often do you have a need to have that?
Well, I'm thinking we could probably go every month potentially. We'll look at the finances on that, but we haven't done anything since this began.
So this would be a recurring month for as long
No,
as we're
it
in the,
would not be recurring monthly. I think, it would be $75 after that for each vehicle.
They're skipping the back seats though.
we're not arresting anybody, I'm
Uh,
saying.
Yeah, we are.
Are we?
Follow-up cleaning will be $75 per vehicle.
That's interior and exterior, both?
Times how many vehicles?
For
You know,
7.
Just so you know, I just looked up the chemical. I can buy this for $79.95 and spray it myself.
You need the applicator though.
I can put it in a pump and spray it. It's a concentrate. Aseptic is another chemical you can buy also.
It's $525 recurring.
So it's $525 recurring.
These costs are likely reimbursable through the GOFO grant.
Um,
Helps any.
Didn't you say our cleaning company has bought a machine to disinfect?
He has, I don't know if he can use it in vehicles or if that's interior for buildings only.
I think it's a good idea, but I think we should get 3 different quotes, because there's a bunch of companies out there doing it.
We do have, we did get 3 quotes, and this was the lowest one. We had one from National Car Detailing, $170 a vehicle, Fallout Cleaning is $170. The one that I just, from Amesbury Auto Detail that we just discussed. And the third one is Detail Doctor for $140 a vehicle. And if we agree to a weekly service, the price will be $130 a vehicle,
Now, is this for detailing in?
everything.
Do we really need to detail the cars that we're getting rid of?
No, we don't,
Because
actually.
we have 2 brand new cruisers that are sitting,
So, yes, so where we are with that, I mean, they're still in a holding pattern. Sergeant called on that today. They're coming up Friday for us to put the decals on, but we're in a holding pattern as far as getting the consoles in and the cages, so.
I definitely agree with decontaminating, I just don't know if we need to spend the money on
Yeah,
having them detailed.
Oh, yeah.
we can see if they'll just,
The decontamination is just a spray. And I know aseptic is a chemical I can call soil away. That you can buy the chemical from them. It's literally a pump sprayer that you go in there, it mists it. You mist the vehicles, it dries off, and it will kill. They use it in hospitals. And I can reach out to Soil Away and say, how much would you guys charge us for gallon of concentrate. You mix it with water, it goes into one of the little pumpers. I can buy one of those little pumpers for, $40. Heck, I got one at my house. And you
Who's
just
gonna
spray the
physically
vehicles.
do the work, that's the question.
I could easily spray it in myself, and it would be free except for the cost of the chemical. Because you're just disinfecting, you're not detailing. I would say that, and I know the officers clean out their cruisers and stuff when they're done, but yeah, there's something to be said for fine detail in a vehicle. I do it to my Jeep all the time, every time I decide to take it off-road and get it all muddy, so, which happens too much. So,
So if we had the chemical in the pump, we could.
I could spray 'em up, 'cause
decontaminate our cars.
you can decontaminate the cars and you can go do the fire vehicles at the same time.
Yeah, and we could do that as often as we wanted to, because it'd be under our
Every
control.
single second, yeah, every time they switch a
Every time
shift,
they-
if they wanna disinfect it, let it sit out there for a couple minutes, it's done.
Yep, could do that.
I can tell you right now, I've seen some quotes that are crazy. I've seen quotes
Oh,
for
yeah, people are-
$18,000 for them to disinfect a restaurant, and it's like, they're charging ridiculous prices on a lot of this stuff, and you can order these chemicals right online. That's why I said, okay, let me look it up. It's $79.95 for a gallon jug. $780, that means
Well, that
$700.
$780 is
Detailing too,
Detail.
yeah. Which,
and that's
yeah.
7 cars,
yeah,
so that's
It's like
$110.
$110 a car.
Huh?
$111, 54 cents per car.
that's expensive.
So it's $111 a car, which isn't a bad price for detailing a car.
No. And I would think that some of the vehicles, even if they're a couple years old, with the amount of hours and stuff you guys put on these things.
So I
we
think
should
it
be
may be
cleaning them.
worthwhile to do one complete cleaning of the cars and then maybe buying something to,
Let's do both.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, let's make a recommendation on what chemicals we should buy in a pumper and include, wrap that into the cost of
Yeah,
doing this and then doing that.
Maybe
Because-
see if our cleaning company can do the cars. Cause I don't know necessarily that we should ask the officers to be handling chemicals and decontaminating the cars.
Yeah.
But if our cleaning company is something that they can add to their to-do list,
It sounds like you want a motion to do it one time. I'll make that motion.
What is it, $780
but
one
that's for
time?
7 vehicles, right?
All
It doesn't
vehicles.
It doesn't include the back seat, so it's only the fronts,
but there's no real detailing in the back.
cause it's all plastic, right?
Yeah,
It's a plastic shell.
so it needs to be,
Sprayed.
Why do they
Dec-
need to be detailed? That's my,
They get dirty.
Well, have they ever been detailed? Probably not. And according to Karen, this could be covered under the grant that we're gonna get from the governor. So it sounds like a real good deal and the protection of our officers.
You make the motion?
I did.
So you're looking for a second?
That's the chair.
I'll second that.
We got a second?
do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'll do an aye.
5-0.
But I don't want it to be recurring.
No,
No,
one
no,
time.
this is one
One
time.
time.
Did you hear the motion,
It's
sir?
one time.
I just wanna make sure I say that out loud so everyone knows how I'm thinking.
But we'll look into getting them decontaminated
Yep,
on a weekly or monthly basis.
so you can maybe send me that information that you have as far
Yep.
as how to proceed with that.
I don't know if we necessarily want the officers doing it,
Yeah,
so
I
we'll,
was just, well, I know that we did check with our cleaning company right now about the cruisers, and there was, that, I was like, yeah, we're not, the cost was too much, so.
Yeah, but this is simply just spraying the vehicles on a.
It's like
recurring
spraying it
basis.
down with Lysol, basically,
Yeah,
that's
it's
all
like
you're
not
doing.
a big deal.
Exeter Fire bought a sprayer for ambulances, so maybe if the fire department bought one and somebody got trained on how to use it, the guys could bring a cruiser over, takes like 15 minutes for it to dry, or they could fog the interior,
Yeah,
and I heard Fremont bought some like
Yeah,
fog
I
bombs.
think Fremont has one that we might be able to use
Um,
as well.
So, if it's just a matter of buying the chemicals, we'll buy the chemicals if Fremont already bought the machine, and,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a happy partnership right there.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Anything else, chief, for now?
Not for public, not for public. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I do. We have a new Facebook page because I think we can't figure out what happened with our Facebook page, but we can't get into it. I can't get into it, Sergeant can't get into it, I don't know if it was hacked. We've tried everything to try to get into the page and we can't. So I created a new one last night, so that will be going, it's online right now, it's Brentwood, New Hampshire Police Department as opposed to Brentwood Police Department. So,
Maybe send Facebook a message to take the other one down.
you can't,
Facebook is not law enforcement.
I mean, you can't get anybody on the phone. I mean, we've, with the old Facebook page, we have messages. They have given us messages that is pending, but nothing's been resolved. I mean, we've been working on this issue for probably 3 weeks now. And finally, I just said, we're doing a new one, so we've done one.
Can you send me the link so I can put it on the town website? And it will forward automatically to them.
That's all I got for public.
All right, chief. Floor is yours.
Thank you.
Get 5 pens too.
I'm trying, look at me, I'm all spread out.
Andy's stuck with the stick.
I haven't hit my knee
You haven't hit
yet.
your knee yet? You kinda, see what I do? I just, I'm good.
Becky, you're out.
Cross my
Thank you
legs,
very
I'm
much.
good.
Thank you first for placing us on the agenda for tonight's select board meeting. We have 2 items. First, I'd like to thank you for allocating funds for repairing the porch. If you have not
Looks great.
driven by the Historical Society, the porch is done, painted, and it looks very good. It's very professional. We like the look. It fits in with the building. He did a nice job. And if you drive by again, you'll see that Dexter just built 3 large flower boxes for the railing, all donated labor and materials. And he applied for and received a grant from the Exeter Garden Club for the plants that will go in that. So
Oh, nice.
he is shopping around, as is Karen Ellis. So the building is going to look beautiful. It's going to look 100% better than it did before with the porch and just the bare ground. So it's a showpiece for the town now, and I wanted to thank you for allocating the original funds to the porch. So thank you very much for that. We have 2 items. The first item is, I think it's gonna be a 2-step process, if you agree with that. There is a program within the state of New Hampshire to apply to have a building or a barn or a farm placed on the state historic register. That's different than the national register. The state register, you can get a plaque, it protects the building, and I have outlined here to read to you the benefits of doing that and the cons. But since it's your building that was given to you by the Grange years ago, I think it was 1983, we need to go to you first for permission to start to pursue this, so we're not wasting our time or energy if you do not agree to go forward with it. So the pros, and we're working with Mark Tremolo, a retired lawyer who lives here in town, and he has done a lot of the legwork. He will be working, if we go ahead, with Preservation Alliance for their advice and possibly a little bit of funding to comply with the application process. So he's outlined the pros, which here, I'm just gonna read them verbatim for you. The listing of our building on the state historic register would build community pride. We could get a brass plaque for the outside of the building. The listing of our building can be an educational experience in itself. Brentwood residents will learn things they never knew about town history. Part of the application is what was the building used for over the period, what events took place or historic meetings took place. It was the location of the first meeting of the Volunteer Firemen's Association. So it does have historic uses. It was the first post office. It had a barber shop. It had the public phone years ago, the only public phone in town. So it has a great history. The listing of our building makes the property owner eligible for grants, loans, and possibly tax incentives. You are the owners. The most likely source of grants starts with the Land and Community Heritage Investment Program. That is way on a lot of historic building projects. You see the letters LCHIP. Pilgrim Church went through that a couple of years ago. It was a long process, but they were added to the state register, and that opens up the door for foundation grants, state grants, federal grants. The listing of a property does not automatically create a historic district. Now that is a concern. If you have a historic district, there are limitations. That kind of district can include duties such as using only certain paint colors, design restrictions, etc., but we would not be subject to that if under the state register. The National Register requires that, but not the state register. The listing of our property is an honorific. It does not come with any restrictions as to what can be done to the property going forward. Future owners of the property, if any, do not have a duty to preserve it. So it's honorific. It opens up the doors for possible funding for work that needs to be done on the building, such as water, such as a septic system, which we are the only town building that does not have either of those items. There are a lot of Grange buildings in the state right now going through this process, a lot of churches going through this process, and Preservation Alliance helps with that process. We are members as the Historic Society of the Preservation Alliance. We've gone to one meeting and they do training sessions on how to apply for this, as does the LCHIP program. So there's a lot of help in the background, and there would also be some funds required to pursue this. And that's why I'm saying this is a two-step process, because I'd like to come back with an outline, if we go forward, what this means. But I wanted some initial consideration before we put any more labor or time into talking about that. So those are the pros. The cons. The application process is complex and will need to be handled expertly if we want the effort to result in a successful designation. The individual inventory form, which is quite long, is used on the application and has 48 sections. That's why I don't want to get into this unless I have some initial approval, which the historic significance is only one of the completion steps. We have to do mapping, we have to have the survey. We have a survey, it was surveyed a few years ago, and will likely require a drone to do an aerial photograph. Now my husband has a drone, we could probably do that with that. The application cannot be completed without a third-party assistance, so that's Preservation Alliance, most likely. Unclear how much of the assistance can be free, such as Preservation Alliance, or how much would have to be paid for. Assuming we are successful in obtaining the historic designation from the state, the next step is preparing the grant applications, since we will be competing with other institutions for funds that are available. The grant applications appear to be significantly complex, more complex than the historic designation process itself, and require a third-party engineering firm. I knew that the church had to have an agency come in, an engineering firm, to look into the structural history and integrity of the building, and to date it, et cetera, et cetera. If federal monies, for example, the Heritage Preservation Services grants can be applied for and accepted, there can be certain restrictions on certain use. We'd look into that if we applied for any grants, what the restrictions or requirements would be. We have done some preliminary checking that if we raise money to do this as a 501c3, reading from Jim Wiseman, a CPA, and one of Mark's contacts would be that if we raise the funds for specific work on the building, the engineering study or the grant applications, we could turn that over to the owners of the building and it would be still considered a charitable deduction. We have to verify that, but so far it looks like donations through us given to the town would still be considered a charitable deduction. So we will verify that. So those are the pros and the cons. We have a working board that's working very hard on doing a collection, doing improvements to the building, providing programs, and we think that the building deserves a designation as one of the oldest buildings in town and one that has many town uses over the years. That's my first request.
Has that building ever had water? If there was a barber shop?
Yes, there used to be a well, and there used to be outhouses, which were torn down when one of the L's, the back L, was torn down. I also heard there may have been a well in the basement as well, because the Grange served sit-down meals there. They had meals and they used to take them up to the second and third floor. But we have not had water since that L was torn down, probably in the early 80s. And personally, I think if you're gonna give $15,000 to a well at the cemetery, maybe we could apply for water for the Historical Society.
You know, I would recommend that you develop a warrant article
for.
And I think you would get a lot of support from the citizens for the well and the
And
septic
the
system.
septic.
Well,
system.
I'm just wondering if you have enough, because that's a weird lot, isn't it?
Let's
Yeah.
focus first on the,
What, do you have an estimate of what the costs are to go through this process and
No, I do not, because I
ballpark?
wanted some guidance before we pursue that. That's gonna take time to go through that and work with Preservation Alliance, get some estimates.
Does Preservation Alliance charge for it?
Some things they do, but most things they don't.
So they would be able to give you a budget?
They would help us work out a budget, yes.
Well, I'd make a recommendation, Mr. Chairman, that we give them the support that they're seeking.
To initiate the process.
That's correct.
To come back to you with a more detailed plan and estimated costs.
Right.
So we can apply our time that way.
And don't forget the warrant article.
Separate issue, yes, but thank you for suggesting that. And as far as the property, I know we might be able to work something out. I know it's a small piece of property, I think it's about an acre, but I think there's some possibility there for being able to implement a septic system and a well.
The state of New Hampshire is famous for allowing things to be accepted.
Okay,
I'm just wondering, because the river's right there, I don't know how they would. I don't know.
Well, there's other septics very close.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah.
where's the,
there's a lot more septic.
The river's on my side. It's not on the side of
I
the,
thought it went along the road.
no.
Well, they're probably 150 yards from it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're uphill, they would be on the flat.
It could be a holding tank, it doesn't necessarily have to have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tight tank, yeah, you could have a tight
There are
tank.
other
Yeah.
possibilities.
Yeah, the amount of use that gets, you could have a holding
Exactly.
tank and have it
Pumped.
pumped.
So that would be my
Quarterly or something
recommendation,
like that.
yeah,
What was your recommendation?
to give them permission to go forward with seeking additional information and then come back to us. And initially, they would have our support going forward.
an exploratory process.
Good word.
I would second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 I would say that probably is something we could do by the end of summer, if not sooner. So, but thank you for that guidance, because I'm just not sure how long that will take to coordinate all the pieces. So look for that.
And I want to thank Dexter for doing the boxes and stuff like that too, so I appreciate that.
No cost to the town.
That's
not a
even
cent.
more appreciative, and I think I speak for the board when I say thank you.
You know how to ring his bell.
I like,
Free or zero is what he likes.
I like it too.
And he also got the grant for the flowers and the plants, and we received seeds from the New Hampshire Free Seed Program after applying for those. So we are doing our part to improve the building without costing the town and funds.
thank you.
So
That's
thank you
awesome.
for that direction.
Thank you.
And the second agenda item, Dexter's going to address.
Yeah, has to do with the Grange, which is upstairs on the second floor. And I don't know All of you. if all of you have ever been up to the second floor where the Grange
Yes.
originally was and stuff, but it's quite unique. And when the Grange building was given over to the town, part of the wording in some of the history I've read, it says. the
Last
buil-
two pages of your handout has what Dexter's talking about.
Yeah. Let's do it.
The last two pages.
The history said that they gave the building and the contents, but there's still some question about, did that include the Grange specific items and stuff? The benches, the altars, the things that were specific to the Grange and stuff up there. So basically what we're asking for is for you to grant us give us the articles that are associated with the Grange itself, the organization, the Grange, that are in the building.
And everything on it.
Yeah, and everything that's on here, but not all of it is still here. Some of it is, I mean, the refrigerator isn't there, the ashtrays aren't there, you know, some of the spoons aren't there and stuff, but it's, just the.
Have you been
inventory
upstairs?
that's there.
I've never been in a building at all.
Oh,
I've been up there a
well,
couple of
Bob, you're
times.
our first
Have you been up?
customer.
Yes.
I've never been in there at all.
Oh, you gotta go, it's pretty cool.
Yes.
Take you up to the attic too, that's
As long as you don't hit me with the egg beater or
I've
the
never been to
slicing.
the second floor.
Oh,
Oh, Phyllis, you've never been to the second floor?
No.
Oh, my God.
Pretty interesting.
Wow.
Well, then I could sell you a whole, story here then.
so.
You know, I don't see why we should,
So,
worry about this.
Where is all of this, whatever is here, is that all part of what's downstairs on the first floor? or is
No,
that what-
No, it's
On the
upstairs.
second floor?
None of that is on the first floor.
It's all on the second floor.
It's all on the second floor.
There's not much on the second floor.
Oh, you'd be
as I
surprised.
recall. Is
You'd
there?
be surprised. There are a
Yeah.
lot of things on the wall. There are awards and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
testaments, and there's all the linens,
Benches, stools,
Benches.
chairs, altars.
So would you just have those as part of the historical society and display them and have them available for people?
the agreement
It-
was that the upstairs would remain set up as for a Grange meeting. We met with Gladys Ray,
The last master of the Grange,
last master of the
Yeah.
Grange, and
'81.
she gave us permission. She confirmed that everything that is on the inventory was given to the town with the building. She also gave us permission to move things around as needed to have other functions up there or another display. She gave us permission to restore it back to its original placement, but to have the flexibility to move things around. What we cannot do right now, if you own the possessions, is catalog that and put it into our database.
So I'd like to make a motion to convey this property from the Grange to the historical society.
Second.
Everything on the list.
Yeah,
Yeah, as outlined.
as outlined.
A motion, a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much. Thank you, appreciate that.
I'll have to make an appointment for a tour.
It's very
Yes, I'll
interesting.
forward that to you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Can you make sure these guys get to the second floor at least?
Yes.
Well, first I gotta get in the building first, I've never even been there.
I was up there about 8 years ago.
Oh, my
Oh, see, I was there.
Yes,
That's a trick.
yes.
I'd probably get a kick out of walking around the building.
It's very cool up there.
It's fascinating.
wish you
Your
could
stuff's
see this.
fascinating. So thank you very much for
You're
your
welcome.
time.
When you conduct a tour, make sure they get to go to the basement.
I haven't been in the basement. I've
Very
been in the
interesting.
basement.
I'm not sure you wanna go to the basement.
I'll bring my headlamps, I'm good.
Karen wants to be on the tour of the basement.
Nope, did that one time.
I'm not
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, you're doing a good job.
If there was a well in the basement, it must still be there, right?
Basement's
find out.
still- oh,
Now, I didn't see any well when I was down there. All I saw was
about-
one of those mechanical,
It was
A
probably
toilet.
in that L they were talking about.
Oh,
well, that's not there
where was
anymore.
the L? Oh,
Don't know.
It was torn down.
oh.
Phyllis, you gotta remember that, because it happened in the
I wasn't
eighties.
here when, I didn't come till 72.
But no, she said it was torn down in the eighties.
No, they gave it to the town in the 80s.
Oh, okay,
82 is when they gave it to, I think was what this thing said.
Yeah,
okay.
Who's Keenborough?
That's probably the name of the,
Grange.
The Grange.
that was the official Grange name.
Steamboat.
Oh, okay.
Alright, on to the notes.
Oh.
Stay-at-home order status quo approved through today. Can we extend to 5/31 and then move to a phased reopening beginning
moved.
June 1st?
Yes,
Now, restaurants and everything else are starting to open up, so
But not inside. What I've seen that looks really good is that we put out to the department heads to respond with a 3-phase plan of how to reopen. So, cause everybody's gonna be different. Rec, we know we're not gonna put in, open stuff up for a long time,
June or later.
but there's, PD is gonna be different, fire's gonna be different.
Mhm.
Town
Town
hall.
clerk's gonna be different.
library.
Selectman's office is gonna be
Well,
different.
town clerk can make her own hours. She can tell you to, you know,
Right, but it would be nice to
Have an idea. We
To
can
put
coordinate
something-
together.
right.
I mean, really, town clerk has just reduced the hours, but if we did give us 3 phases, we can say, okay, on June 15th, we're gonna implement phase 1. And then if everything looks good in a couple weeks, we can say, okay,
So
Good.
when can we start meetings, like the conservation and the,
well, everybody's meeting now, we just can't have more than 9 people in this room.
well, we've canceled all our meetings, like the cemetery has canceled theirs, the conservation's canceled theirs,
Library's been doing Zooms and stuff, or,
and the library's closed.
I think that's up to each board's discretion.
Well-
If they don't have any pressing business.
Your comment about the
No,
plan
that's not
from
the
the library,
reason,
et cetera,
closed
is
because of
appropriate.
the virus.
they're self-governed, really.
Right.
so is the rec, right? Rec
No.
Commission.
No. The library's self-governed because
Right.
we only control the finances and have to give them what's approved,
They have 13 RSAs that are applicable to them only.
Right.
so. But we've allowed remote working till the 15th, so I would just say that
Extend
if we
it
can
to-
get a plan from all the chairs or department heads that we can discuss next meeting to implement after the 15th of how we're gonna
Right.
start reopening the buildings.
Is it still just 10 people, Andy? That hasn't been changed yet?
That has not been changed yet.
No.
In a closed building, that's why they went to the
Outside restaurant.
outside restaurant.
Our next meeting would be June 2nd, right?
Yep.
Am I looking at that right?
Yep. And then we'll know more from the governor at that time too.
So I'd say I make a motion that we get them to get us those phases, get a plan
Due by June 2nd,
that they can submit to us for June 2nd so we can reevaluate.
and everything else remains the
Take care of
same.
our position at that point.
Yeah, because we're gonna have to make a decision on the second, whether we're gonna go forward.
Right, well, I mean, I
Well, by then,
know,
we'll hear from the governor, so. you know.
we're gonna hear something anyway, cause I know the governor said he was gonna make an announcement by next week anyway.
Yep, yep.
As far as like beaches and everything else, cause they're going into another phase, so.
I know he's very reluctant about the beaches. They will
Yeah,
not open
in
until.
Mass and Maine
Maine.
opened up
Oh,
yesterday,
open.
so I assume it's gonna affect us soon, so.
That's why he doesn't want to open the New Hampshire beaches, because of Massachusetts.
So I would make a motion that we do that until the 2nd.
Status quo until June 2nd. Is that your motion?
Yes.
I second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the Governor's Office of Emergency Relief and Recovery Funds anticipates that $106,900.05 will be allocated to Brentwood.
I make a motion.
Must vote under RSA 21-P:43 to accept this grant money.
Second.
Motion and a second to accept up to 106,905, just in case that's the number.
Or more if they want to give it to us. No?
We'd have to do a revote, but. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We need to sign the Gopher grant expender sheet.
So this is the grant application to apply for that $106,905. So I need 3 of you to sign page 1. I need Andy to sign all of these other sign here pages, and then I need you to initial every single one of these pages.
I make a motion.
Just me?
Yes.
I make a motion.
Second.
So if 2 people want to sign this, and then I can sign the other stuff later, and
There you go.
we can
And then.
carry on.
Also, an expenditure worksheet that needs to be submitted with that requires 3 selectmen to sign. You vote to allow the 3 that come in to sign the manifest next week to sign this. I
Okay.
don't have all the invoices from all the department heads, but it's due June 1st.
What's the motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, that's, you guys were changing.
So number 4, we've already taken care of.
Yep.
Number 5 is gonna be non-public.
Okay.
One more thing on, more Gopher stuff. In the ambulance revolving fund, we have received a Health and Human Services stimulus grant for $4,964.97. That can be used towards PPE or revenue reimbursement. So I'm waiting for Joe to let me know if he needs that for revenue reimbursement, or if we can apply that towards the expenses he's already allocated in PPE, and then that would reduce what we submit through the Gopher grant.
So you want a motion to allow the chief to do whatever he needs to do with the
No,
4,000?
we're gonna have to change.
Have
I
to
think
wait.
this was more informational.
Yeah.
Oh,
We have to wait for that.
That was it.
we need to make a motion to allow Andy to serve on the zoning board of appeals for 3 additional years. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Is Andy okay with that?
I don't care.
We should really
We're not
ask.
asking.
Hey, Andy,
Well, let me withdraw my
What are your
second when I
thoughts?
hear from Andy.
he kind of like
Any discussion?
did a shock.
Well, he came to a meeting
What are your
last-
thoughts? Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with
He
that.
came to a meeting last week
I'll
and
leave the
couldn't
top
say
one.
anything, couldn't vote, couldn't do
I was
anything,
just there for moral support.
Oh, nice.
in an anti sort of way.
Leave the top one.
So there's a
vote.
motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm abstaining.
Oral.
Kip looked into a guard for our office doors, so.
So let me back up a second. Part of the phase reopening, I thought would be a good idea that planning board, recreation, and KIP have some type of plexiglass barrier. Either we cut a hole in the wall, or we mount them to the door, half door somehow. That way, they're protected from the public. I mean, cashiers now have plexiglass barriers in
Yeah.
between them. So, that's what this is about. When I was in last week, I asked Kip to work out what he thought was best, because anybody can reach around and open Andrea's door, they all have half doors, they just have no way to keep somebody from.
Is there any way, because they're all glass,
Right.
I just wonder if there's a way to do a glass hole,
Well, we thought of that too, and then,
you're damaging the door.
plus you have to secure it afterwards, that somebody
Right.
can't get in after hours, so.
Right.
So Kip's recommendation is to do a 24 by 30 quarter-inch plexiglass panel that would attach to the top of the bottom half of the door.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
So the
Similar to what
plexiglass,
you did on the corners?
yeah,
Same kind of thing.
similar
Yeah,
idea.
That's a good job.
So the plexiglass plus brackets for installation, he's estimating about 300 per door. And I would like to request 4 of them, so the one for Gloria's door too.
You think that would be part of the grant money too?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure you
get
can
that
get
reimbursed.
reimbursed for that.
I'll
yeah.
make a motion.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor of purchasing 4 barriers?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Just as long as they're not opening the bottom and ducking underneath. Someone whacks their head. Their workman's comp.
Do you have any extra billy clubs down there we could issue to the
You
office?
still have to sign that form.
I have to do it in front of Daphne.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Children's Chambers Fund submitted their request to release $1,000, which was approved through the regular operating budget, but it exceeds our spending cap, so.
I make a
that's just
motion.
requesting permission.
Who's the Children's Chambers?
That was the organization, that's a nonprofit organization that provides winter clothing and blankets to
Oh,
children.
that's
Part of the regional association.
Regional Association.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
This is the addendum to the existing contract with KRT, eliminating interior inspections.
By the way, they were at my house a week ago Saturday.
Did you?
They just walked around.
Oh, you
He invited him in.
I did not.
Jonathan called me, he's like, there's a man walking around my property, is that okay?
You didn't have tea with them? I heard
So we
you
have a
had tea
motion
with
second.
No tea.
I'll second.
They should probably do some type of notification before
Yeah.
they're just out walking around properties.
It's on the website and on,
Right, but we could say that 100 people that we have inspectors around, but if somebody starts walking around the wrong property, there's gonna be bad.
And
Can
this
you
is,
put it in the
and this
village
is hunting
newsletter?
season too, so.
Right, but I mean, there should be some way to
Yeah.
identify that they're from KRT, like, hey,
We're coming.
we're coming, we're here, maybe a big sign that says KRT or something.
Don't they have little,
Don't they have?
Badges.
I thought their cars were
they
logo
have
too, aren't
badges and
Yeah.
then
Yeah, they
have the
do.
logo.
If somebody's 30 feet from your house, are you gonna see a little badge on their
I'm let
chest?
the dog out.
That's my point.
They'll respond fairly quickly when the dog.
Then the
is
chief's
out.
gonna get the call and she's gonna be like, what happened to him?
So just
I don't know.
something for safety
Okay.
of their employees. I have a motion and a second to sign this, same discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Alright,
Anybody opposed?
The nice thing about having a dog.
yeah, unfortunately, if my dog runs up there, he's just gonna lick him to
You don't
death.
have to expose
I ended
yourself.
up, I ended up with Odie.
Ask George about that.
Odie and Garfield, he wants food and he just wants to lick people to death.
We had a property under potential deed that had received an extension through May 12th. They had submitted a letter of request that due to they have a preliminary approval, but funding is taking a bit with the COVID-19, so they requested don't necessarily specify, they're just looking for some
I have a question about that.
Is
time
that,
frame they're waiting for.
is that Miss Marshall's law firm?
Yes.
Yes, I would recommend that we give them extension and even think about it.
I don't even know which one you're talking about.
You wanna give them to the end of June?
My eyes are not that good.
Here,
60 Middle Road.
Oh, yeah, okay. But we already know that's in the process of,
Right.
yes, yeah.
I'd be fine with giving an extension.
Yeah.
Second.
How long do you want it
Phil's
to
had
go?
a,
What?
I didn't even hear what you're talking about.
one of the properties that we're,
Right, they're working on it and they have to, yeah.
Yeah.
right,
That's
they're
fine.
just asking for, what's your motion?
Extension.
How long?
Was it 2 weeks? 3 weeks? What are they looking for? They had the date on there.
They
right?
don't have a date.
I
30 or
would do
60
another
days.
30 days.
I would say 60, because they're, aren't they
He was
exempted
doing
while we're in
work.
the middle of all
They
this
were doing the
COVID-19?
chimney.
We
Did
can't
you see
evict
them?
them, but we can still deed it.
What's the name?
I mean, people are still doing loans, they're still doing
Yeah,
financing.
but it's a
It's
lot
going
slower
through.
process. so-
Actually,
All
more
right,
people
30
are-
45 days
45 days, good,
Wonderful compromise.
okay.
From May 24th.
I'll do the 45.
from today.
40.
So
Do I have a
Bobby-
motion?
He made it,
I
he
make a motion
seconded
for
it.
the 45. Got a
Bob,
second.
Bill, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Okay, so the
Save
school,
yourself a lot of aggravation there.
the school has approved the presidential election at Swayze. Daphne thinks that with COVID-19 and social distancing, that we will likely need to have the primary there as well in September. So
Have what? I didn't hear what you
The
said.
primary,
Primary, yeah.
do you want to
Oh,
send a
'cause you
letter
need big enough
requesting the
space.
school board to see if that's, I don't know if the schools, I think the school calendar's already been set, but
I think the
I
school
don't know
will
how
be
they
big
can
enough.
change that. I mean, next
By
year
then,
was
I think
different.
it'd
all
be
the
normal
grades.
if you don't have
I
to.
can bring it up at the next meeting.
We can send a letter.
We can send a letter.
It doesn't hurt to ask. If you don't ask, you don't get, so.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm sure they'll be okay with it.
I'll make a
Um,
motion to do that, if we need to.
Anybody want to second that?
Oh, I will.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Also tell Daphne that, Sandown bought some, Amazon has shields that sit on the table,
Mhm.
so that for the,
Primary.
ballot clerks,
Yep,
while they're taking information, there's actually, they're like $300 a piece, but you couldn't build them for that.
To the,
It's a plexiglass
curb,
shield
right?
on no, it's flat, so it just sits on the table, so it would sit in front of them.
how do they take the licenses and stuff like
Just
that?
show me.
Yeah, they can show it to
Just
you.
show it to you.
I mean, it's not gonna be impenetrable, they can reach around it, but
Don't
it's
you
just
think by
giving you.
November, we're gonna be back to normal?
No.
No?
Yes,
yes, but then we'll be back in it once it gets cold again.
no.
Well,
'cause then we're just gonna,
September,
like, go.
September is the primary.
Right.
That's iffy. September's iffy. I told you earlier that the school board is talking about, the joint board, they're talking about only having K through 5 start school in September. Everybody else will continue to be at home learning.
I'm in that window.
I
You're
thought
like,
about you, immediately I thought about you and thought, well, I hope they approve that one.
I don't know, I think a lot of this, especially, the one thing you're gonna run into is they're gonna have to make some type of exception for people, even the teachers and stuff, cause it's not, under the age of 20, you've had 0 deaths in New Hampshire. From 20
But New
and under.
Hampshire's not the problem.
New Hampshire's not
I
the
mean, New
problem.
Hampshire, we've only
have
had
to worry about the teachers, though.
157 deaths.
Yeah.
Mass was having
Massachusetts.
157 people die a day.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean,
But I think they have to worry about the teachers, right? So like a lot of times they might make that decision right now for K through 5, but there's a lot of teachers that are, in the high risk area that they might say, that's great in theory, but it might not work out.
Well, in this room, there's several people in that high-risk area.
Actually, yeah. And anybody that's got diabetes, so yeah, we got most of us in here, so.
alright, next.
Tax warrant,
All right, I approve it.
Oh.
I'll make a motion, we sign it.
Second.
I have my check right here.
1st of July, 2020, taxes will be due.
$5,067.
did you already pay them?
I have the check.
Yours are cheaper than
Well,
mine.
he likes to be the first one.
You get off with such a low tax,
Because I paid it all the first time.
We had a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
And I just been stacking stuff here.
Perfect.
Good.
I did get an interest check the other day of 13 cents.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
I was excited. Last month it was 11.
It costs more to mail that check.
No, it was actually just deposited.
You should go direct deposit, you should tell them.
I do have direct deposit, but I refuse to go paperless.
So the paper cost them more money to
Because
get.
I don't trust them like I don't trust the federal government.
The 13 cents cost like
I'm
$1.80.
still waiting for my
I don't trust
stimulus
them
check.
either, so.
We got yours?
I don't think it
Anything
will.
else, Karen?
No.
We're gonna make a motion to go non-public?
Well, I have a couple
Oh,
questions.
sorry.
You know the, up on my road, going to the pit, that gate? I believe it's locked. Was it locked on Saturday?
I don't know.
Yeah,
We don't have a key to it? I mean, if
who
they,
doesn't have a key to it?
huh?
It's a private pit, isn't it?
The Southeast Land Trust owns it, but Saturday we had the ambulance, we had the police up, because supposedly there was an ATV accident, and I could hear them down in the, and they,
Valley.
the policeman, Mr. Wicks, couldn't get down there because it was locked, and it seems to me, even though it's, they should
Yeah,
have
we
access.
should have access to it.
Should have access to it.
So Southeast Land Trust, if they have a key, need to provide a key to the police department so that they have an access to that.
Actually, what would work better is to have a Knox box on
That would
The
even.
post.
the post,
That would be
and then
code.
if fire has,
Check with Mr. Wicks and see if it was locked, because he went up and he couldn't get down, and we could, you know, they were looking for this ATV accident.
I didn't even think they were allowed to have ATVs out there.
There it
Well,
was.
they're
They're
not
not.
supposed to be
They're not
there,
allowed.
But you're still gonna have accidents, yeah.
They're not supposed to be there, but, you know, that's,
It's not gonna stop somebody from getting
I
hurt.
know when I walked down that way, I could see that somebody's been down there with an ATV.
Oh, people walked it, you know, it's-
Probably every 12 hours, so it
Right.
made the ruts. There's no way you can miss it.
okay, and did we send out new bids for the Mill Road Bridge? Because I thought that's what we voted at,
That's coming, that's due next week.
oh, okay.
So we'll see that on June
And then
2nd.
did the library get what the impact fees were, so they could,
Yes, I did send Janice that number.
oh, okay. That's all.
Karen's right on top of this stuff. She gets away from home regularly to do town business. And she's happy to do it.
anybody else have anything? Alright, we won't be going back live after non-public, so this will be the end of the live recording.
So make a
And-
motion for non-public
Second.
in accordance with 91A 311 A, B, C, D, E, and I
For personnel reasons.
for personnel.
And you were the second?
I was.
Aye.
Phyllis?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright.
And I'm an aye.
Oh, that's right, that light doesn't work. Oh, we gotta turn off the microphones, right?
Yes.
I'll just call it because